Hey guys, Jamie Smith here, jaimesmithtv. I try not to vlog too much unless I think I have something interesting to share with you guys, and that way I don't feel like I have to make something up out of nothing. Tonight is a pretty interesting night. I don't know how the video or the audio is because I still haven't mastered the art of driving while vlogging. At any rate, a buddy of mine who also doubled as a client last fall named Chris White, he's a personal filmmaker. He does handmade films using a crowdsourcing site called Kickstarter.com. He approached me last fall. He wanted me to train him to get into better shape. He needed to lose about 30 pounds. It wasn't about looking a certain way, but it was more about having enough energy to get through those 16-hour days when you're shooting a movie. And he was directing. He was also the screenwriter, as well as having a major supporting role in this movie. Well, long story short, fast forward from August through October of last year, being 2011, to now, June 2012, I'm going to the premiere, the first screening of it, at Tryon Theater. It's a local, privately owned theater up in the hills of North Carolina, and I'm gonna try to capture some footage of him. You guys really need to know this guy. You need to see his movies. He captures basically people in difficult situations trying to figure out a way to love one another. With Chris White, the man of the hour. Now, a little known fact is one of the biggest script writers was his wife, Emily. We'll see if we can get some time with her for just a bit. But I have two questions for you, Chris.
Okay, yes.
What was your favorite part about making this particular movie, and then what was the most difficult part of it?
Wow. I think my favorite part of it was being able to just hang out with my wife and think of a story that kind of reflect, to collaborate with her creatively. That was really fun, and it's a different way to relate to your wife, like you're making a story.
Okay.
The hardest thing was also that.
Right.
Was also because the story's there's some real personal elements for Emily in her life, and you can't just treat it all flippantly like it's a story. You want to treat it, you want to take it seriously. So I think working with my wife was the joy of the project and the trial of the project.
Very
But I'm
cool.
really proud of her, and I'm really excited for getting to watch the film with her.
Excellent. Good deal.
Thanks.
Thanks for your time, man.
All right.
Here with the primary writer of this film, Emily. And I asked Chris two basic questions. The first one was, and I'll ask you the same thing.
Okay.
What was your favorite part about putting this together, this particular movie? And then what was the biggest challenge? What was the most frustrating part or the most difficult part of it for you?
Okay. The best part was actually literally last week when we finished it and we pressed output on the thing, because we've been working with this and dealing with it for so long.
Yeah.
And it took over our lives in a lot of ways, more than we meant it for it to. And the most difficult part was everything else. No, the shoot itself was difficult because it's just there were a lot of people. Jeter.
Hey, Emily.
Jeter was the most difficult part of the process. He's our editor.
That's right.
This is our editor. No, it's like just getting everyone where they needed to be on time. I did all the cooking for the shoot, so getting that where it needed to be for everybody every night. Budgeting is really hard for a project like this because you're always going to go over budget more than you think you are.
Yeah.
So that was, budgeting was tough.
Yeah.
How are you? And just the interpersonal relationships.
Right.
It's like that. It tests your resolve, and doing this as a married couple,
Right.
you gotta really stay on the same page.
I imagine there's almost a cat herding kind of an element to
Right.
what you're trying to do, isn't there?
Absolutely.
Cool.
Absolutely.
All right, well, thanks for your time.
Sure.
Days since I've actually seen the movie. It was a great experience. We had a chance to sit in on some Q&A with the director himself, Chris White. If you don't know that filmmaker, you really should. If you haven't heard of him, you probably will. And his wife, Emily, was the one who was the primary spearheading factor in writing the movie, because it's somewhat semi-autobiographical, but not completely. There are autobiographical elements in it, but it is a story of fiction. I would call him a method director, in that he finds ways to find actors that are already in some form or fashion submerged in the type of scenario that he needs their character to portray, and he just lets them do their work. I would kind of describe him as a cross between a Ron Howard and a Judd Apatow in many ways. You're probably going to want to see his work in the future.